अस्सलाम वालेकुम दोस्तों, क्या हाल चाल है आपका। स्वागत है आपका एक नई वीडियो में। और आज इस वीडियो में हम कंटिन्यू करने जा रहे हैं एलम वे। चलिए गेम को कंटिन्यू करते हैं।
Just Alan.
It's something, all right. Don't worry, honey. I'll get you inside safe and sound before it gets dark. And I've got the flashlight.
I know. I'm okay.
Alice had a phobia. The fear of darkness. I wanted to make sure we were inside with the lights on before sunset.
लास्ट टाइम हमने इस कैमरे के पास की थी। चलिए इस गेम को कंटिन्यू करते हैं।
Are you sure you read the directions right? It's nothing like in the
Bird Lake Cabin is an idyllic, a little rundown but nevertheless beautiful cabin nestled in a small island on the Cauldron Lake. But not all about it is as it seems. You see, in the 70s there was a big eruption and the whole island sank and it took down the cabin with it. So it shouldn't really exist. Yet somehow it does. The original idea for the Bird Lake Cabin was that it was actually alive, that it would roam about in the forests at night, rising onto its legs that would at daytime look like bird leg-shaped roots sticking out from under it. In the end, the story evolved into having the name of Bird Lake Cabin simply derive from the peculiar shape of the island and also from the frontal facade of the building, where a chimney, which looks like a beak, and two round windows looked like its face, and two porches, one on either side, looked like its wings.
Wow.
Here we go. Let's take a look inside. Come on.
It's dark in there. We need lights. Can you figure out how to get the power on, honey?
Get the power up.
Hello? Anyone here?
सेविंग होगी भाईजान, सेविंग।
The cabin looked like a time capsule from the 60s, or even earlier. For a moment, the oppressive feel of the nightmare I had seen on the ferry returned.
What was that?
Damn.
भाई क्या था ये?
I needed to get the power running in the cabin. There had to be a fuse box or a generator somewhere on the island.
Must be outside.
The Deerfest guests have already started to arrive. Just ran into one on the ferry. A famous artist, no less. We'll see if we can rope him into an interview later on. Now let's go to the phones. Caller, you're on KBF-FM.
Hi, Pat. It's Rose.
Why, hello, Rose. What's on your mind?
I know who that famous artist was. It was Alan Wake, wasn't it? He's my favorite writer.
Well, Rose,
I just saw him at the diner. Oh, I'm so excited he's here.
I'm sure he's going to be...
The power cable goes to that shed over there.
Thank you. कैसे जाना कैसे रास्ता भी दे दो भाई, ये रहा।
An old generator had been connected to the power cable.
Okay. E to start. कैसे स्टार्ट करेंगे? Working fine.
The lights are on. Good work, honey. I'll freshen up a bit and start settling in.
Okay, I'll look around a bit.
Sure thing. Have fun.
It was a beautiful place.
Right.
I told myself I could rest here, sleep here, and forget about my work. I thought we could be happy here.
तो भाई तू गलत है, तेरे साथ ही कुछ हो सकता।
We spend a lot of time talking about Alice in the game, but we don't actually see all that much of her because she disappears. That's why it was very important for us to establish her as a major force in Wake's life in the very beginning of the game.
Alice had told me about Calder Lodge.
Their relationship is very interesting because Alice is actually a lot smarter and stronger than Wake is. She's capable of manipulating him and is quite willing to do so if need be. That's how they end up at Cauldron Lake in the first place. But what she does out of love. She really just wants to help him. And he does need all that help because he kind of falls apart without her. She's a lot stronger than that. She could survive without him, but I'm not sure if Wake could ever live without Alice.
Information दे रहे हैं थोड़ी थोड़ी करके। Return to Alan.
The island had once been the site for a love story. Maybe it would be that again.
Okay. हमें कंट्रोल सिस्टम पर
Alice? Honey?
आगे यार।
Alan, I'm upstairs. I have a surprise for you.
क्या सरप्राइज है?
Well, hello there.
I'm not the surprise. It's in the study. Go take a look.
मुझे तो ये चाहिए।
Okay.
Surprise!
Alice? What is this?
I guess I have a small confession to make. I thought maybe you could write here that a change of scenery would get you past...
Damn it, Alice! Everyone keeps...
Hey, just hear me out. There's a local doctor, Dr. Hartman. I read a book of his. He has a private clinic here. He specializes in helping artists. Maybe...
So now you want to get me committed?
No, it's not like that. That's not... Alan? Alan?
Just don't! I don't want to hear it! God damn it, Alice! God damn it! I knew she wouldn't follow me in the dark. I needed some time alone to think things through.
भाई अकेले कहाँ पे जा रहा है? क्यों इधर उधर जा रहा है भाई तू? तेरी मैट्रिक होगी।
Damn it. Alice? Alice? Alice! The cabin had gone dark. All the lights were out.
एक नई स्टोरी आ गई।
Alan Wake has a lot of problems. His marriage is failing, He's suffering from the results of extremely poor impulse control, and frankly, the guy is a bit of a dick. He's not a bad writer, he's definitely a decent one, and obviously he's been very successful, but you know, it's probably not a coincidence that the moment he sets out to write this really good novel, he's not actually capable of even...
Alice? Alice?
अबे ये कहाँ पे गई? वो कहाँ पे है? Oh no!
Oh no!
पानी में गिर गई. अब भाई बचा इसको, बचा.
Keep going. Wake up.
Alice?
Follow the light, पूरा सीन फिर से आ गया.
Waking up in the crashed car felt like I had woken from one nightmare and entered another.
Oh my god.
I couldn't remember how I got there. All I knew was that something terrible had happened to Alice.
भाई इसको बचा.
The phone was dead. I'd have to find help on foot.
Checkpoint 3. ये कुछ आया था एग्जाम के लिए.
Designing the environments, we are making full use of the diversity of nature in Pacific Northwest region. In this episode, we find Alan Wake crashed in a car, unable to climb back to the road, and facing a long hike through the forest to reach a distant gas station where he hopes to find help. The area is a rocky, forested valley. He has to go through a logging site and also a marshland that follows the bottom of the valley and a river crossing. In the end, there is a vintage old gas station to explore, so really it's a visually very interesting location.
ये लोग गाड़ी को गई. भाई जाना कहाँ पर है? मुझे प्रॉपर मैप तो दे दो यार. ओ वो यहाँ पर. भाई किधर से मुझे लेकर जा रहे हो? You आगे follow the line.
Hello? Is someone there?
The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it. In the scene on the page, the hero was attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night.
Okay, fine. Okay, title of the
Departure by Alan Wake. The man turned to face me. His face was covered in shadows. It was hard to make him out in the darkness of the forest that surrounded us, but the axe he lifted was plain to see. It glistened with the blood of his victim. He grinned madly. The shadows were alive, distorting his features. It was a scene from a nightmare, but I was awake.
बाबा ने तो पूरी मूवी नॉवल पे स्टोरी स्टार्ट कर दी. मैंने पूरे मैं क्या मैं स्टोरी को कंटिन्यू करने के लिए पेजेस भी मिलेंगे. मतलब कि जैसे ही हम कोई पार्ट क्लियर करेंगे तो हमें एक नई स्टोरी मिलेगी.
Well,
जो हमने
as you can see, Wake has just found his first manuscript pages. They just sort of floated down from an unearthly light. And the manuscript is really one of our main storytelling tools in the whole thing, and one of our most important concepts in the entire game. And that stuff was actually really difficult to write because, you know, you don't have a lot of space there. You have a couple of paragraphs, and you kind of need to be able to tell a little story there.
Yeah, and I also think that manuscript pages are a big part of the whole Alan Wake experience. While it also tells a lot about the world itself, it also gives you a really deep history of different characters in the game.
Yeah, and it feels kind of natural too because we sort of made the pages a part of the whole thing. They're not just sort of random things in the on the sideline, but they're actually something that's really a part of the plot because they really are the plot.
Exactly, and I especially like the idea how certain pages actually predict some events that are going to occur in the future.
Yeah, we do a lot of foreshadowing there, but it's not, we don't really do the kind of a thing where we sort of, hint at something. We actually come right out and flat out, say it, because that's sort of, we want to prove the player that, what's written on the pages actually literally happens in the game.
Yeah, it's really cool when that happens. If somebody actually reads the page and sees how the stuff unfolds in front of him while he plays it, I think that would be really cool for somebody. And it's so bad that I've actually read all the pages, I don't get that experience, but I would think that it's really cool when you actually experience it.
And I know a lot of players are probably just going to run through and just sort of skip the pages, and that's fine, you can do that, you can play a cool action game like that, but there's actually a lot more to the game than just the shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody there? Please, I've been in an accident.
मतलब कि पेजेस आपकी पूरी स्टोरी बता रहे हैं कि क्या करना है और कैसे क्या हुआ था आपके साथ.
Hey! Hey, you!
Phil!
There's been an accident. I need help. Listen,
Deposit.
I need to...
Premium cabins for rent in
Oh, hell.
Carl
फिर
Stucky.
से आ गया तो
To meet you. Non-refundable reservation deposit required. Fair and square. And square. Carl Stucky. Pleased to meet you. Premium cabins.
कहाँ पे है मुझे. क्या करना था मुझे. फाइन मैं पेजेस पढ़ के ताकि आइडिया हो जाए उससे बोला था.
The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it, as if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor and eye disease. It was bleeding shadows like ink underwater, like a cloud of blood from a shark bite. I was terrified. I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave, and the light seemed to shine brighter.
मतलब कि मुझे एक थोड़ा सा आइडिया हो गया. मुझे बस नहीं जाओ.
To arrive. You lose. Shit. Deposit. It's the latest thing.
बच गया.
I had to figure a way out of this. Any second now, and Stucky would be knocking on the door with his axe like Nicholson in The Shining.
गन भी मिल गई और फ्लैश लाइट भी. F1 to switch weapon.
During your
Okay.
trying, it's the latest thing.
वो क्या था?
Incontestably proven.
Easy to pick up.
Let you kill somebody with one
My battery
stone.
is पूरी है.
You can see the sights and keep those cholesterol levels down.
Yes.
Bright Falls Sheriff Station. Let me ask you.
Hello? Hello?
This is bad.
Yeah.
Even though most of the enemies attack you with melee weapons, some of them are able to use ranged weapons as well. I think it's way cooler when somebody's throwing stuff at you instead of shooting. Or maybe I just got tired of that in our previous games.
ओके आ गया
Even though most of the enemies attack you with
The Taken stood before me. It was impossible.
weapons, some of them are able to use ranged weapons as well. I think it's way cooler when somebody's throwing stuff at you instead of shooting. Or maybe I just got tired of that in our previous games.
There were more of them. My head pounded with the concussion. I'd never fired a gun outside a shooting range, and now I just killed someone. Or something. There were no bodies. They just disappeared. If I was dreaming, it felt real enough to make me sick.
तो मुझे लाइट से मुझे रास्ता भी पता लगेगा जाना किधर है ओके उस साइड पे
Eerie hand-painted graffiti was revealed by my flashlight. Someone had hidden a chest of supplies near it.
Flame grab. I think इधर कुछ होगा ये जी
The dark forest was the last place I wanted to go, but I had no choice. I had to get to the gas station.
Bullets based यार और to reload मुझे क्यों लग रहा है इधर जाना है
What the hell was that? When I saw the river below, something uncoiled itself inside my head. I realized that I'd have to find a way across. I didn't even want to look at it.
Wake's newfound fear of water is a result of his plunge into Cauldron Lake. Of course, at this point in the story, he doesn't know what happened to him, he doesn't remember any of it, but you know, on some subconscious level, he knows that he's been violated, and he associates that with the water.
Stucky was still out there, in the dark, stalking me.
चाहिए और क्या है हमारे पास सीधे रास्ते से चलते हैं क्या नाम है
Taken. They're taken.
गैस स्टेशन के वो लाइट के पास हमारा चेक पॉइंट ओह भाई बैटरी दे दो तुम बार बार मुझे कोई मसला नहीं होगा उससे भाई तुझे हर कोई ना कोई मसला तो है ही है बैटरी दे दो
The staircase was broken. I had to make my way up some other way. There was no power. There was bound to be a generator somewhere at the logging site. With all this forestry equipment around, there had to be something I could use to reach the top.
जो मुझे सामने नजर आ रहा है और इतना मुझे भी पता है इतने साइंस से तो चलाने देगा नहीं मुझे लाइट के नीचे कितना फेस फील कर रहा हूँ भाई चलो ठीक है तो आज के इतना काफ़ी है लाइट हाउस तक तो हमें पहुँचना ही पहुँचना है लेकिन उससे पहले कुछ रेस्ट भी तो करना है सैलम वे को देखो ना बहुत ज़्यादा थक गया होगा जिसको रेस्ट वगैरह भी करके देते हैं प्लीज़ मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब वीडियो को लाइक कमेंट और शेयर ज़रूर कीजिएगा और आपसे मिलते हैं बाद में खुदा हाफिज़